If you've been on the internet for any notable amount of time, I'm sure you have definitely heard of Dandy's World. Dandy's World is a Roblox floor based horror game where rounds are replaced with matches, where you try to survive as many floors as you can before you die. Now, in these matches, you have to fill up iCore machines, but I'm pretty sure you already know the game loop of Dandy's World if you're watching this video. In this video, I want to talk about Scraps, the worst character in the freaking game, in my opinion. In Dandy's World, there are several unique survivors slash toons that you can play as. Now, while most characters have a specific job that their stats are based around, Scraps is supposed to be a survivalist character because her skill check for her moves are terrible. Basically, she can't extract to save her life. In fact, you probably won't even get anything done if you don't run a bunch of extraction trinkets. And even then, you have to worry about her most glaring trait. I think I'm saying that right. The most obvious roles in the games are healer, survivalist, and so-called distractors, character with low stealth but high speed and stamina. Aside from these categories, there's also extractors whose entire job is doing machines while the other team helps them. You see, this is what distractors are for. They help extractors, though technically if you're good at the game you won't even need a distractor, because generally it's pretty hard to get spotted as extractor characters since their stealth value is so high. How to know a character is an extractor is their extraction speed really fast? Do they have an enormous skill check? Are they abnormally slow or have lower stamina than usual? If so, they're probably an extractor. But the best way to know is their skill check size and extraction speed. Usually, most characters have 3 stars in extraction speed or skill check, but extractors will usually have 4 to 5 stars in those things, which is why they're called extractors, because they're good for extracting machines which you need to progress floors. And technically, you can do machines as any character, it's just a lot more convenient and quick to do it as extractors. Scraps is mostly built around being a survivalist. At least that's what her main ability is supposed to be. She can grapple to machines and other players to save herself. Which at first might sound pretty cool until you realize she's slow as hell. She can't move to save her life. Literally. She legitimately moves enormously slow. Running away from Twisteds as Scraps feels like trying to turn the Titanic away from the iceberg. Scraps' ability is clearly meant for a survivalist character, and it would be really good with another stat set. But the thing is, she excels in nothing while being terrible at everything. Her high stamina is pretty cool. She has 200 stamina. You might think, okay, so I'm basically untouchable. Well, no, you're not. Since you move super slow, your sprinting speed is only about as fast as some characters' walking speed, which basically means you can barely outrun most Twisteds. And the only reason you can at all at any times is because you have 200 stamina, which means you always need to be at 200 stamina. If you accidentally overloop and you get caught again after a Twisted loses interest in you, which you probably will if you're on mobile like I am, well, congratulations, you started another chase at low stamina, and since Twisteds don't have a stamina system, it doesn't matter. They can keep running for basically forever and never really be in any type of trouble from this. The thing about Scraps is you need to be extremely good to use her properly. And even then, if you're good enough to survive as Scraps, you might as well just use another character, unless you're trying to grind for Goob, which is the only reason I'm using her in these clips. Because as soon as I got the 3 mastery quests I needed to unlock Goob, I immediately stopped playing Scraps. I mean, even playing as Goob feels so much quicker. I mean, whilst Goob does machines slower, that's only because he's more of a survivalist slash distractor than a, you know, survivalist like Scraps. I have no idea why she's built like that. But even her skill check is enormously small. And, well, that's a serious problem. Most characters generally excel in something with passive abilities or active abilities, but Scraps just has one single active ability that has a pretty long cooldown and is basically useless. And after I finish talking about her stats, I'll talk about that. Her 2-star skill check means that her skill check is literally only 1 star bigger than healers like Cosmo. And that's not good at all. Because Cosmo's skill check is really small. And whilst it isn't even half as unforgiving as Cosmo's skill check, I mean, it's still pretty unforgiving compared to characters like Poppy and Boxton who have regular size skill checks. And considering the fact that she sucks at everything else, literally the least they could have done was give her a decent sized skill check or extraction speed. But she has a regular extraction speed. So she's not an extractor, which means she shouldn't really be slow. And she's definitely not a distractor. Whilst her high stamina would be good for a distractor character, she's slow, like a extractor would be. But the problem is she doesn't excel in extracting. She has a regular extraction speed in really small skill checks, which means you only get about as much reward from her skill check as, well, a Poppy would. And, well, do I even have to explain why that's bad? A character who is a survivalist that can't survive, and an extractor who can't extract. I mean, Scraps looks like somebody trying to diversify a character in a video game and then realized they had a limited amount of points. So they legitimately just gave up and ended up with the worst builds in the entire game. And if you're wondering why I think like that, it's because Scraps is clearly, like I said, meant to be a survivalist. And now we're going to focus on her main ability, which is the whole gimmick of her kit. The entire reason I feel like Scraps was meant to be a survivalist is because her ability is extremely selfish. She can grapple to machines and people to pull herself out of situations, which is the exact opposite of other characters like Goob. Well, Goob is literally her brother, I think younger brother, and she's the older sister. Now, Scraps in game has a pretty kind personality, so I don't think she's selfish in a mean sort of way, just a I don't want to die sort of way. But if you're wondering why I say all what I say about her and how she's so trash, is because her ability is extremely selfish. Like I said, she pulls people. I mean, she pulls herself to other people or extraction machines, which means she can quickly grapple onto machines to extract them. So I guess it could be extraction ability. Okay, so she's an extractor, right? But as I said earlier with her stats, she doesn't really have any extraction abnormalities that make her greater at it than other characters. And she's a terrible survivalist. I mean, her stamina might be cool, but she's slow. As Scraps, I can barely get past floor 2 without dying. And then when I use Finn, I can get to floor like 8 or even 10 without dying. I mean, the first time I ever got to floor 10 and beyond was using Finn. And by the way, at the time, I didn't even have good trinkets. So I was using almost base Finn besides maybe the speedy shoes in Pink Bow. But I think I was using extraction trinkets. I'm not sure. But if a extraction base fit without like extra survivalist trinkets can reach floor 10, I mean, this shows I'm not even bad at Dandy's World. That confirms that me being bad at scraps isn't just a skill issue because I can survive to higher floors with Finn, another character in the game. And he has lower stamina than Scraps, so it isn't a stamina management problem because I can survive pretty easily with Finn. So, if by the way, in these clips I'm using extraction trinkets, so I don't have any speed boosts. So, yeah. Finn, mostly built for extraction, is somehow a better survivalist than the character made for survival. After Finn completes a machine, he gets a small or pretty decent sized speed boost for 33 seconds. By the way, he normally has average speed. And you'd think, okay, he has lower stamina than other characters. And he has a normal sprint speed. Obviously, he's a terrible character for anything but extracting, right? No. Actually, I'd say Finn is probably one of the best survivalists in the game. Since he has a really big skill check, he can double as a extractionist or whatever you call him. So he can survive pretty well in a chase and he can extract machines. Obviously, he's a much better survivalist than Scraps is. And Scraps is built for survival, whilst Finn is, well, clearly built for extraction. So, if Scraps is a survivalist, why is she so bad at surviving? So you might think, okay, so obviously she's an extractor. Maybe that's why she's so bad at surviving. Well, the thing is, as I said earlier, her extraction stats suck. She has a normal extraction speed and a low skill check, so obviously she's not an extractor. And she's definitely not a distractor because distractors are really fast and have high stamina. And while she does have high stamina, she really sucks in the speed department. I personally think that Scrubs needs some reconsideration of her kit. Because honestly, I don't think I've ever seen anyone actually survive very long as Scraps without either being super goated at the game or having a really good team. Plus, most characters have a way to escape. I mean, for example, extractors have extremely high stealth, which means that they're a lot less likely to be spotted if they just keep their eyes open and stay away from twisteds. This means, well, basically, they're probably better at surviving than survivalists if it weren't for the fact that they're really slow. Since they can be spotted from less distance, they're generally less likely to be spotted and even get into the danger where you need to run away in the first place, especially if they have a decent team. But the thing is, Danny's World is built with solo play in mind. I mean, you can play the game solo, and there's no penalty for doing this. So, extractors have their high stealth. Survivalists have their normal speed and normal stamina, which lets you get away from most twisteds in most situations. And distractors can just start like the, well, fast characters they are. And what does Scraps have to escape a chase? Loop spots, which every character can use. And she uses them a lot less effectively than other characters, too. I mean, you'd be better off just using Finn, unless you're trying to unlock Goob. Her ability doesn't really work in Chase, since you need to actually tap what you want to transport yourself to. So, yeah. And I don't even think that her cup ability, where she, like, drags herself to you, is actually iframed. Basically, I don't think she gets invincible when she does it. So, you can't parry the Twisteds. Man, that would be so sick. This, when compared to other characters, makes her basically obsolete. So, what are the reasons to use her? Well, the most obvious reason is, well, for Goob. You have to complete 3 mastery quests as Scraps to unlock Goob. And while at first that may seem like an easy quest, it takes several runs to do it if you don't have a team, because end up in one bad situation and you will die since you're extremely slow. Anyway, you're probably wondering what counts as a bad situation for Scraps. Getting spotted. Ending up in a corner while extracting machines, which generally you have to do. Basically, playing the game is dangerous for you. Yeah. If you get spotted, for most Twisteds, you just die. Especially if you're not already at maximum hearts and well, I forgot what it's called. Oh, stamina. If you're not at max hearts and stamina, you generally die in a chase. You can lose up to 2 hearts in one chase, even whilst being careful and trying to stamina manage properly. Because without a team, your targets for grappling are very limited. And even when you do grapple, it's ridiculously hard to actually grapple, since you generally end up needing to just stop what you're doing and stay still, because for some reason the game sometimes can't detect machines that are in range, even though it highlights them for you to show they're in range. So basically you have to click on the machines, and that is no good for pretty obvious reasons. Okay, so why, aside from unlocking Goob, would you ever use Scraps? That's probably what you're wondering. Well, honestly, you don't really have much of a reason, unless you want all the badges in the game, which you need to 100% the game. I don't understand why you'd want to 100% Dandy's World of all games when there's freaking Hollow Knight and Fortnite and Silk Song and all these other games to 100% that are actually fun when you're not grinding. But scratch that. You don't grind. Well, you can only grind in Hollow Knight and Silk Song because it's a story-based game. So anyway, in this video, I went over a bunch of stuff on Scraps and why she sucks. And if you're still here, you either agree with my opinion or you just like the video because it sounded funny or something. I don't know. I don't know why you're still here. But if you're still here, just go on, click that subscribe button. You know, it helps a lot. And, well, you clearly like the video if you're still here after I've concluded what I'm saying. So, there's no reason to just sit there without subscribing while you're still here. The video's over, right? Why are you still standing there? Are you watching this in the background? I said the video is over. Oh my gosh, bro. Cue the outro. Get them out of here. Why are you still here?